All right. I've been getting a little more into my channel lately. Been putting up a lot of videos. Been fairly motivated to record stuff for a change. I think I got another PlayStation fanboy video coming after this, probably. I feel like I got one in me. Made a flashlight video. I forget what all else. But now, topic is the Lakers. And I'm a big LeBron fanboy, as you may or may not know. So I follow whatever team he goes to. Don't agree with his politics, by the way, but I can separate that from the fact that he's the best basketball player of all time. So I saw the other day the Lakers get Russell Westbrook, or a couple days ago. And I've been seeing a lot of people just trash this deal online, on podcasts. I listen to a lot of NBA podcasts. One of the best ones I can recommend is Brian Windhorst's podcast. Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective, I believe it's called. It's usually Tim Bontemps and Tim McMahon. I think they're smart guys. They know a lot about basketball. It's a very entertaining podcast. But man, I listened to them and they just hated this deal. And, for example, Windy, as they call him, Brian Windhorst, was basically saying that the Lakers could have done a deal for, well, let me hold off on that for a second. Let's just talk about my first blush about this deal, when I first heard this deal. First of all, I'm a big Taylor Horton Tucker guy. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just really think that this guy can be something special. So I just really didn't want to give him up in any trades. So when they first talked about the Lakers may be putting a package together for Russell Westbrook, I tried not to pay too much attention to the pre-draft talk, because I don't want to get too invested in, I want to get this guy or whatever. I like to just let stuff happen. And then, so yeah, when I saw we got Russell Westbrook, when I heard we were trying to get Russell Westbrook, I was kind of like, well, I'm all for it, except that I don't want to give up THT. And if it comes down to giving up THT, like, I don't care about the 22nd pick. I don't care about most of our players, besides LeBron and AD, obviously. And THT, he's like my... So when I found out we got Russell Westbrook and we gave up Kuzma, don't care about him at all. Montrezl Harrell, don't care about him at all. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I like him. I think he's the best of the three. He's the best shooter. He gives a flash of speed to the team. I think he's better than the other two guys. But at the end of the day, he's an average player like the other two. I think he's a good team guy as well. So he was definitely the best of those three, but he's very limited. He's a 10 points a game guy, you know. So basically, to me, it's like we gave up nothing Kuzma, nothing Harrell, and nothing Caldwell-Pope, and the 22 pick. Maybe a little tiny something, but given where this team's at in the, we got LeBron James, and he's going to be 37 most of this upcoming season. Like, you got a really short window there, so the 22 pick, even if it was, you really hit on it, unless he's a superstar, it's just not going to fit in that window of LeBron being great that you need. You got, 2 years, you really got to push it. So what I'm saying is 22nd pick, nothing. And originally when I heard the deal, it wasn't even the 22 pick. It was just Kuzma, Harrell, Pope, and some second rounders or something. And then I guess they changed it to include the 22 pick. So, all I look at is we gave up nothing, and we got Russell Westbrook. That's it. That's a huge win of a trade. Like I said, I was listening to the Hoop Collective, and they were just, this is the worst trade in history. Like, how? We gave up nothing. Nothing. You get Russell Westbrook. Now, does Russell Westbrook have problems with fit? Is Russell Westbrook ball dominant and not a great shooter? And this, okay. But he's Russell freaking Westbrook. You know? He's a physical force. A physical force. And he came on strong the second half with the Wizards last year. He was really good for them. I mean, I like the trade a lot. I think we needed a third guy. The Nets had stacked the deck as the league. The NBA is like a big anti-LeBron conspiracy. They'll sit there and stack the deck over and over until LeBron can't win. You know, they did it in Golden State when they put KD to a 73-win team because LeBron beat him the year before. Now they did it in Brooklyn. I mean, are you serious? You've already got Kevin Durant, you've already got Kyrie Irving, and then you add James Harden, like really NBA. You know, talk about blatant. They've been trying to conspire against LeBron since the GM in New Orleans tried to send Chris Paul to the Lakers to give Kobe more titles for nothing. And thank goodness Stern came in and stopped that because it was a joke, you know. And I always make jokes about the Nets. I mean, they've already got 3 of the top 5 players in the NBA. I'm like, when are they going to get Giannis for a second-round pick, you know? I mean, I'm just waiting for something ridiculous like that to happen. Because, they need more help to beat 40-year-old LeBron by himself. You know, and okay, I don't think Giannis is available, obviously. But, like, I wouldn't, like Chris Paul or something like that. It's probably, like, it wouldn't just absolutely stun me if you heard, Chris Paul just got acquired by Brooklyn, you know. They need more help. They need like 5 of the 10 best players in the NBA all to be their starters because you got to beat LeBron, you know. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. It's ridiculous. But anyways, on this podcast, Bontemps and McMahon were just hammering the Lakers. This is the worst deal. The Lakers are stupid. They just see a superstar name and go for it, and they don't understand that it doesn't fit, and Westbrook can't shoot, and he's ball dominant. He can't play off the ball. And I say nonsense to all of it. He's a physical force. That's what I care about. He's a physical force of nature. And now he gives us 3. I mean, how many games are we going to win in the regular season? You know, now he gives us LeBron. And here's another thing about Westbrook. You know, they talk about, the fit. Westbrook can't play with these other guys. You know, I don't know if any of that's true, but, these other guys are out long periods. When you have 3 superstars, look at the Nets too. Some of them are out a lot. It's just the way of the NBA nowadays. You know, one may get injured. So there's going to be long periods where, like, let's say AD is injured. Well, then Russell can, like, you know, get a lot more share of shots and the ball and all that. Because it's just LeBron and Russell, you know. There's going to be probably periods where LeBron's out. So it can be Russell and Davis. You know, there might be periods where 2 or 3 of them are out. And it's like, you know, they may just be riding Russell. You see what I mean? I mean, and you look at what happened to the Lakers this past season is a picture-perfect example of this. What happened to the Lakers, really? What happened to them, in truth, is that they fell too far. Why did they fall? In the seedings. That made them match up with a really good Phoenix team, and Phoenix had home court advantage. Okay, now the injuries in the playoffs were obviously a huge factor and everything. But the other huge factor that people don't talk about is the Lakers were, a 7 seed? And the deck was just stacked against them at that point. They were 7 seed playing a 2 seed, so the competition was really good. They didn't have home court, you know. Now they could have overcome those things if they were fully healthy, but it just put them so far behind the 8 ball. Here's my point. So if you have Russell Westbrook on your team, you're a whole lot better equipped to weather this long stretch without LeBron and AD like they had to go through this past season. And all of a sudden, instead of just being terrible in those games, maybe you win a third of, maybe you win a half of them. And maybe instead of the 7th seed, you're the 4 seed, the 3 seed, or something like that, because you can maintain. You know, maybe when you guys get injured, you're the 2 seed, but when they come back, you're the 4 seed, you know? You see what I mean? Everything would be different in that case. You start off your first round series would have been, you know, against whoever it was. Whoever was the 8th seed this year. Was it Utah or something? No, it wasn't Utah. who's the 8th seed? Whoever was the 8th seed in the West this year, they were not that good. You know what I mean? Well, I guess you wouldn't have played the 8th seed because that would have been the 1. But okay, even if you were like the 4th seed and you played the 5th seed Denver or something like that, the whole playoffs could have been different. And like I said, you looking at there's only one ball, and what is Russ going to do when LeBron and AD are healthy? Well, you're not realizing that you can probably count on in the long regular season that the Lakers don't care about. With an injury-prone AD and an aging LeBron, and honestly a somewhat aging Russell, you're probably only going to have 2 out of 3 of those guys most of the time. So a lot of the fit issues in the regular season, to me, almost don't apply. Because you're going to have plenty of workload for Russell, in my opinion. You could easily have 10, 20 game stretches where both LeBron and AD are out on those Lakers. Russell's going to get all the work, all the regular season action he wants, So I ain't worried about it as much as, you can't think of it as like, oh, there's going to be Russell, AD, and LeBron. Maybe in the playoffs ideally, but you're going to have so many, like I said, he's going to be innings eater. He's going to eat up those regular season games and keep us from falling to the 6th, the 7th seed, like really hurt our chances this year. That's just one way to look at it. Another thing is, now, basically, couple things. Another thing I like is that I believe one of the hosts of First Take or something mentioned that Russell really wanted this, or I think this was also on Wendy's podcast. Russell really wanted this trade, and also LeBron really wanted it. Well, that's great. I mean, they're going to have problems because it's 2 ball dominant players, but the fact that they both really wanted it and they're buddies and everything, I think that's really helpful. They're going to work through issues and things. And also, as Max said, Russell is a good teammate. He made the point that every year Russell has a bad first half with a new team. And people go, oh, and Russell's done. And then he has a great second half. It happened this year with Washington. It's happened in some of his previous stops. Because he said, contrary to belief or whatever, Russell is a good teammate. And that's so true. He is a good teammate, And that's important to me. And he says in the second half, he figures out what that team needs and he starts coming on. It's a pattern with him. So that's another thing to think about with Russell. So yeah, to me, and another great point I think Max made, he was thinking along with the same way on First Take, Max Kellerman. He thinks along the same lines I do. He said, look, Brooklyn was the best team in the NBA last year. If they hadn't been injured, they would have faced the finals would have been, if there hadn't been injuries, the finals would have been the Lakers against the Nets. And he said the Nets would have blown out the Lakers. Now, I disagree necessarily about that because I'm a LeBron stan. I'm going to say the Lakers would have had a chance. And the Lakers might have won that series. But regardless, part of me kind of understands. And he said now, and this is the same thing I'm saying. Now the Lakers got Russell, they got Russell, AD, LeBron, and the Nets got Harden, Kyrie, and Durant, and he said it's going to be at least a series now. He's not saying the Lakers are going to be favored, but it'll be a series. He basically left the impression the Nets are going to be favored in his mind heavily. But he said it's going to be, or maybe not even heavily, just favored. He said it's going to be a series now. And that's exactly the way I look at it. Now the Lakers got a big 3. And Tim Bontemps on the Windhorse podcast was really against this. But Bontemps, you got to understand where all these guys are coming from. And I do respect Bontemps' opinion. I don't think he's a blatant LeBron hater, but he's kind of a LeBron hater. So you got to understand where everybody's coming from. That kind of colors his analysis. And so he tends to criticize things that LeBron's team does. And, just throw that out there. He's always kind of looking at it like, oh, you know what I mean? He wants to see the bad and moves that may help LeBron and so forth. So, just throwing that out there. I mean, I respect Bontemps. He isn't like a Skip Bayless moron or something. But a lot of guys view everything, and these, I saw Skip Bayless was poo-pooing the move too, talking about how terrible it is, and Russell's, ball hog, and it's not going to work, and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's like, Skip will come out and say that, but then on the other hand, he'll come out and say, "Oh, look, LeBron had to get more help. He's building another super team." So he'll say out of one side of his mouth, "Russell Westbrook sucks," and then he'll say, "And this is terrible." And he'll say on the other side of his mouth, "Oh, if the Lakers start winning in the regular season, which I think they will, I think they're going to open a lot of eyes. I think they're going to be pretty dominant in the regular season." You know, Skip will be like, "Oh, we'll see, LeBron needed all his help. They had to go get Westbrook and to carry LeBron, and LeBron gets too much help." And, never mind, this is a response to Brooklyn stacking the deck against him. But, but like the LeBron haters will talk about both sides out of their mouth all the time. They'll be like, "Oh, Russell's no good. It's a terrible move." Then all of a sudden, if it starts having success, they'll be like, "Oh, we'll see. LeBron gets all the help. He stacks the deck. He got Russell Westbrook." Well, you were saying Russell Westbrook was trash when the trade happened. Which you can't have it both ways. And same thing with LeBron himself. Like a lot of LeBron haters say, "Oh, LeBron's washed up. He's too old. He's trash now." And then they'll say like, "Oh, but look, he's building a super team. It's him and AD. It's a super team." And you're like, wait a minute, how can it be a super team when half the super team is LeBron that out of your own other side of your own mouth you say is washed up and trash now? How can half of a super team be trash? So they always want to have it both ways. And they're going to do the same thing on Russell. They're going to say he's trash and it's a terrible move. And then when the Lakers start winning, which they probably will, they're going to be like, "Oh, well, it's, they got the great Russell Westbrook. He's so great," But yeah, so I don't think it puts them on par with Brooklyn, because there's no way that Russell and LeBron and AD, they're kind of all scuffed superstars. The borrow video game term is people call everything scuffed. It means like obviously just what it says. Like if you have a scuffed, I don't know, shoe or something. It means like in video game terms, it means like a run where the things didn't go well at all. Scuffed run. So you look at the Lakers' three superstars. To me, they're kind of all scuffed, so to speak. Westbrook can't shoot, and he's getting a little older. He's going to be 33 most of this year. I checked. He's 32, and he turns 33 in November. So like most of the season, he's going to be 33. LeBron's going to be 37 most of the year. I think he turns 37 in November and December. And then AD, I don't know how old he is, maybe 29. But the team he's scuffed because of injuries, so he has all kinds of injury problems. Whereas Brooklyn has three in their prime. Like I said, you could probably argue that Brooklyn has three of the top 5 players in the NBA. I don't think you can argue that with the Lakers, but Brooklyn has their own problems. For one, I don't think you can count on Kyrie. He's liable to just disappear at any given time and decide he doesn't want to play. And so I don't know. It's honestly Harden and Durant aren't getting any younger either. I think Durant's going to be like 31 or something this year, and same for Harden. Which, granted, for anybody, it's amazing that we talk about LeBron being so dominant. He's 36. The only other player that remotely is doing this at his age is Chris Paul. So anyway, all these other guys, you start saying, "Oh, he's not getting any younger," and you're talking about 31. And with LeBron, it's like he's still dominating the league, and he's 36, about to be 37. Anyway, a couple other interesting points. Montep said like the Lakers could have traded for Lowry last year, which I didn't want them to do because I don't want to give up THT. As I mentioned, nobody seems to really like THT but me, I guess, because everybody's saying just trade him, whatever. I really think he can be good. I think he can take another leap this year. I could be wrong, but I saw somebody say, like, I think he can be a good player, but he's never going to be a superstar. And that kind of was the first thing that kind of made me rethink him. Like, yeah, is this person right? I don't remember who said it. But, like, THT could develop into a good player. He's never going to be a superstar. Well, I don't know. He's 20. Maybe he will. But, I don't know. Maybe I'm alone, but I want to keep THT, But anyways, on to the whole Lakers thing, because Windhorst said that he said the Lakers could have traded, I think it was Kuzma and Harrell for Buddy Hield, and maybe the 22 pick, I'm not sure. I think it was just Kuzma and Harrell for Buddy Hield. I think that Windhorst basically flat out said that the Lakers had that deal before the Russell Westbrook trade, and they didn't do it. So his thing was they could have traded Kuzma and Harrell for Hield, and then they could have packaged like THT or KCP in the 22 pick for DeMar DeRozan, quite possibly. They were just kind of theorizing or saying that deal had been talked about or something. So they were all like, oh, I think the deal with DeMar DeRozan, Buddy Hield would have been much better, and the Lakers would have been much stronger with that deal. I still don't know, because at the end of the day, those guys still just don't move the needle to me like Russell Westbrook does, you know. The naysayers want to talk about Russell Westbrook can't shoot, but he's a physical force of nature, you know. And you now have 3 physical forces of nature on the Lakers, you know, that are just like unbelievable. They're just going to overwhelm you with physicality, you know. So yeah, I'm for it. I think there's no downside. Again, to me, it's like we got Russell Westbrook and we gave up nothing. The trade is as simple as that. Now, if we'd have given up Taylor Horton Tucker, I would have said, okay, now that's kind of a problem. You know, I would have been more reticent about it. I probably still would have been in favor of it at the end of the day, but because to me, THT is something. All the other stuff we've given up is nothing, absolutely nothing. You know, they're just average players. You can get average players anyway. And I like Max Kellerman. He was positive on the trade. He also pointed out that like the Lakers can still get Buddy Hield. They can, you know, you don't know what this roster is going to look like. They still may be able to package like THT and you know, future. I don't know if they have any future picks at this point, but you know, he said they still may be able to swing something for Buddy Hield. You know, and he said in shooting, Kellerman made a good point. He also said, and everybody's so worried about the Lakers not having shooting. He was like, you can always get title-chasing guys on minimum salaries that can shoot, you know? I mean, I'm sorry, you just always can. So I think he made a great point there, which is like, we can get more shooting. We can't get Russell Westbrook, you know? So yeah, and again, the more I think about it like that, you know, like what's so great about Buddy Hield if he can't play defense and he's just going to be a spot-up 3 guy? You know, you can get a spot-up 3 guy like I forget his name from a couple of years ago. Kyle Korver. I don't even know if he's still in the league, or he may be a little too old for this role. But you can always get, you know, guys that can hang on the 3-point line and hit and nail threes. Okay, for a cheap price. So, you know, I wouldn't be so worried about shooting. And yeah, you know, and even if you know, Lakers have got Buddy Hield and DeMar DeRozan, I would have gone meh, you know. And I would have liked that, to be honest, but part of me would have also been like meh. You know, I don't know if that moves the needle like Russell Westbrook does. So I guess I've been trying to make somewhat shorter videos. That's about all I really have to say on it. I think people are going to look back. I think the Lakers are going to stun some teams in the regular season. They're going to be like amazing. Given if they don't have a lot of injuries, though, which could be quite possible. But, yeah, I think the Lakers may win like 70 games, really. I don't know if they're playing an 82-game season this year because of COVID or what's going on. Or if they do, they may have a lot of problems. But yeah. So I really like this trade. I think it was great for the Lakers, and all the naysayers, I believe, are wrong.